Hi, Janice here. I'd like to invite you guys to the first video tutorial for the Shake It Up Creative Arts group. This group I started about 4 years ago for people with Parkinson's. I myself have had Parkinson's for about 19 years. If you notice me glitch a little here and there, that's why. Anyways, I started the group because as an artist, I felt like art really helped me deal with some of the physical and emotional symptoms that came along with Parkinson's. So I decided that other people should try it as well, not to mention that it is great for your brain, is great for your hands and fingers, fine motor coordination, and it's a lot of fun. So let's get started. Today we're doing champagne flutes, a good thing to do for the new year, I thought. Come on, let's go. We will be using watercolor today. I am actually an acrylic artist, so bear with me as I'm learning with you at the same time. What the supplies you'll need for this project is a few things. First of all, you'll need some paper towels. Oh, as a note, I'll put all of this in the description so you'll know what to get, and you can get any art supplies you need at MIcheal's through curbside pickup or online delivery. Okay, so we have paper towels, very important for drying your brush. Watercolor paper, 140 pounds, very, very important to use watercolors. It won't disintegrate under the water. Some kind of board to put your waterproof board to put your tape your painting to. I use corrugated plastic, which you can get at MIcheal's, or you can also get it at, when there's an election, if you get one of the election signs, they'll give you one of these boards. That's what the board is made of. So you can easily use it as cut it up and use it as you need. That's free, which is always good. Free's better. You will need tape to tape it onto your painting, tape down your painting. You will need a pencil to draw out what you're going to do, and an eraser to erase it afterwards, but you just leave a faint line and you can cover it up with your paint. Sometimes I use rulers. You don't have to have them. It depends on what you're doing. And paintbrushes, of course. Paintbrushes I have here are number 8 round. That's 2 fill spaces in. This is a number 6 rounds just to do some of the details, bigger details. And a number 2 liner. It's also round or liner. I call it a liner, but it is a round brush. And that's for doing the fine details. I also like to do some splatter effect in the background, so I use a toothbrush for that. Next, of course, you'll need your watercolor paints. I use these Jane Davenport paints. She's got a beautiful line of watercolor. They are about $50 for one of these pens, but they give you really nice saturated colors and have a whole variety of them. So you can use, if you get a 50% off coupon with $25, it's not so bad. But you can use really cheap ones too if you want, your kids' ones if you have kids. It just won't be, the color won't be as intense, that's all. So also I use acrylic paint. This one is gold and white for that splatter effect in the background. If you use white watercolor, it'll just disappear into the background. This watercolor blends together much differently than acrylic. Acrylic will stay in little tiny dots for you, so you can have a nice splatter effect. And the last thing here is a hair dryer. You might want to use that in between if you want to dry your layers in between so they don't run together as much. You don't have to use it though. You can wait 20 minutes or so and it will usually be fairly dry. Okay, so let's start painting. So the next step would be to tape your paper down to your board. So I like to try and do it as even as I can, just because I have a nice, if you look at this one, you can see the nice crisp edge you get from the tape. So it makes for a nice border around your picture. Get that out of the way. Let's take this tape, get this out of here. Take pieces long enough to fit on the whole entire edge. If you can get it straight, then you get that much better of a finished product. So about, you know, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, somewhere in there, somewhere between there. That's one. There you go. So that is good. Now we're going to start drawing. So for this one, as you can see, we're going to do these, I don't know what you call that, sort of shapely. They're shapely. They have like a figure on them. They're not straight. They're a bit, I did them both a bit different. This one has a bulge here. This one really doesn't. So you can do it either way or do both like different if you want. You could also just do this to come up. If you feel like this is too challenging for you to draw, you can just do this come up as one big oval and make it work that way. See what you feel like doing. I'm going to try doing the same thing this time. So at the top, near the top, about maybe a ½ an inch down, you want to make an oval shape. As you can see, I'm having a bit of a shake here. You don't want to go too far away though. You got to get about 1.5 inches from there. Almost in the center, but not quite. And you want it to be, you don't want to be straight on, you don't want it to be like 90 degrees to this. You want it to be curved so that they'll be clinking together at an angle. So if you want, you can measure this all out. I'm just going to freehand it. See how this goes. You don't want it to be too curvy because you want it to look. This is where the eraser comes in. You can see my curve isn't quite even here, so I'm going to keep working on that. You can fiddle with it. Don't worry about it too much because you don't want to be here all day drawing it. You want to be painting it, right? So I forgot to mention the 2 waters you need for a watercolor. One is for clean water, one is for dirty water, so that if you want to wet your paint but not get it all muddied up with the other colors, you'd use this one. If you want to just rinse your brush, you'd use that one. I always get them mixed up by the time I'm done, so don't worry if you get them wrong. So then you want to do this piece of it. Mine's going to go off the page a bit, so I'm going to try not to do too much off the page. They're quite long, white champagne flutes, pardon me. They are quite long, and then their stems are not that much, they're about the same length as the glass. So keep that in mind for proportion when you're doing this. You want to keep the proportions pretty good. And this should get skinnier at the bottom a little bit. It's quite thin at the bottom here, and then you do this kind of a shape. Like that. You could also do just an oval and then work on the oval. If you're having trouble making it even, do an oval like this, and then you can work on the edges like this. That way you can have a bit of an easier time sometimes if you're having trouble drawing it. If not, if you aren't, or if you're fine with this, just do it freehand like me. You can see this side's a bit uneven, so I'm going to just adjust it a little bit. And again, we're not going for perfection here, we're just going for an idea. Okay, so then we're going to do the stem. The stem will come down like this. Mine's going to go off, which is nice because I hate drawing the bottom anyway. And then we'll do that. It's quite thin, the stem. And you want this line to kind of go smoothly away. You don't want there to be a bulge at the top there. This one. This is where the ruler can come in handy if you're having trouble getting this to work. Just go like this. Then you can add those together. See how that works? So easy. So simple. So you get the idea. Then we're going to erase all of this, but leave a faint line for you to see. I can just speed this part up. So you can see the straight line. Get rid of this one as much as you can. This as much as you can, so you know where you're painting. Okay, so we're going to start with our background on this one. If you want to do blue, great, you can do any color you want. You don't have to do exactly what I do. By all means, feel free to change it up. I'm happy with that. So let's try. I think I might do a different color this time. No, I'll do blue. I'll just stick with what I know. So, as I said, I'm new at this too, so if you know better techniques, by all means put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So, now watercolor, while it's wonderful to work with, it's also very tiny bits is what you do not need a lot of watercolor to make your picture look good. So, actually, I'm just going to try and get rid of this line because I'm finding it a bit too dark on here. It's not the right one. So I don't want to accidentally use that one when I need to use a different one. All right, there we go. Okay, so take your blue paint. This one right now isn't dirty, so I'm going to use it as my clean paint. And it's hard to tell which is blue here, but this light blue I think we're going to use. Put it over here, that it must be the same color or similar color. Take lots of water, a little bit of paint. Lots of water. This is your, and then I recommend having another piece. I'll just test it on my napkin, but if you touch the paper, you'll see how dark or light it's going to be. We don't want a dark background. We just want it to be very, very, very light. This is perfect. Lots of water, a little tiny bit of paint. If you don't want to do it on your palette, you can take a margarine lid container or something like that and get it going that way. See, I just want very, very slightly blue. This one is a bit darker. I like this lighter one better, actually. And as you can see, I'm using the number 8 round brush for this, as it's the nice big one. And it's going to give me what I need. Check and make sure it's going to be similar saturation. Talking can be hard sometimes with Parkinson's, so if I glitch on my talking, you'll know that's why. Try not to get it too much into your pencil drawing this, because the blue is quite strong and it will be hard to cover up with your champagne colors. And use whatever blue you have, and if you just have one blue and it's darker than this, just add more water to make it a little bit lighter. It won't be the same shade, but it'll at least be blue. That's a weird way to say it. It'll at least be blue. Okay, so if you can perfect yours as much as you want, like I say, pause it and you can stop there and just keep working until you feel like starting up again. So now, I don't want to leave this wet, because what happens is then it goes into the sides, some of the other stuff. So, I'm just going to do a quick, I'll just do this, spread it for a bit. You can take your blow dryer too if you want to, if you have your blow dryer handy. Which I do, but I'm not going to do that because we're not going to be that long, I don't think. Okay, so now we have that done, more or less. Again, you're going to take your pencil and you're going to figure out where you want your champagne to come up against the edge. As you can see here, it is not straight. It has this curve to it. It comes out of the glass a little bit, because we really want a good cheers for this new year. It's been a rough year. Let's make it a good one. Okay, so put that away for now, and we'll draw a little bit of a line here. My champagne's going to start here, and it's going to go up and out. And then it's going to start about. This one's not as curvy, so you don't want to go quite as curvy. Now a little more wine in this one, because we want this one to go up and come out this way. So there you go. Now I'm lucky with this Jane Davenport paints, this particular box here. We have the perfect color for champagne. I have this and this. These are my 2 champagne colors. If I can get it out, that is. And I'll do most of it in this and then shading parts in this. So you can see it when I get this done. Oh, I need to keep my lid out here. What am I doing? Keep this handy, because again, we're going to be wetting our paint like this. Okay, just moved over a bit so you could get a better window here what we're doing for the blue. Hopefully you saw it, but if you didn't, you take a whole bunch of water and a little bit of paint. A whole bunch of water, more water, and then you'll get a nice smooth blue like this. Light blue. Do the corners a bit darker, that's no big deal. All right, lots and lots of water for the background. Then you start getting these kind of lines in there. I love that with watercolor. So it doesn't look, you know, when you look at a background, it's not usually solid. So that looks pretty cool to me. But anyways, okay, we will move on to the brown. Here's the brown palette, or the champagne palette, but I need to keep that in there. I don't know what I'm thinking. And this will fill in the champagne with this first of all. So first of all, clean your brush. This is going to be my cleaning water. And now this will be my clean water. Put a bunch of this on the palette. Then take a little bit of your champagne color and add it in. Just you can add a little bit more. It's a bit of a light color and you want to have a nice champagne color. That's too light, I think. So a bit more of this into here. And once again, you're just going to fill this in lightly. Right up into here, and you want to go over this edge. Now, because we put blue here, it's not going to be the best for the color. So you want to put it off and then blot it off a little bit. It'll start taking some of that blue out of the background, or just use your clean water. Here, I'll show you. Clean water. Put it in a little bit of a thing here so it's dripping out. Then you can blot that off. Clean that off so you get a bit more of a white space there. So when you put yellow there, it'll show through better. You don't have to get it all off, because there still will probably be some of the blue showing through the white. Same with here. This one's going to hit this glass and then go back to the cup a little bit. The flute, I should say. And there you go. Keep going until you get it what you want. Clean water. I always mix them up. It's terrible. Even if I have coffee here, the next thing you know, I'm putting it in my coffee. So don't do that if you can help it. A little bit lighter in those spots just to get the right shades going. I'm still finding this a bit light, so I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. If you don't have these sort of brownish yellow colors, I'll show you what you can do right away. So we get this filled in and then we'll go through that. And then this would go to about here. The first line there that you made at the bottom, that little dippy line, you want to keep that in that space. There, that's a good color. This isn't going to be my neatest work because I'm trying to hurry so you can see it all without being an hour-long video. I'm a slow painter usually. Just do 2 or 3, then a couple drops coming out of there could be good enough. Then you'll do the same on the other side, but if you don't have this color, you could take a color like yellow, bright yellow. This one's got a bunch of blue on it, so I'm going to get rid of that first. Mixed it with something at some point in the past to make a different color. That's actually okay. A little bit of it is okay because we want to have some blue in there anyway for the background. Oh no, that's too much blue still. Clean this off like this. There we go. Clean off whatever so it's nice pure yellow. And then you're going to mix this with a touch of brown. That's too bright for champagne, obviously. So now we're going to take a little tiny bit of brown and we're going to mix it in there with that. Not too much. See, that's way too much. That's the thing with watercolor. It's really touchy. And as I learn more and more, I learn that I've got too heavy a hand most of the time. Just take a bit of that out of there and you go over here. And you might have this. This might be the shaded color. Yeah, that's more of a shade color. So keep going till you get the perfect yellow for this. Like, here we go. Try this. That's not terrible. It's a little bit too much white yellow, but it's not terrible. Let's try this. There we go. That's getting better. Fill it in with that. If it's really yellow, that's okay. I'll just pretend it's yellow. But add a little bit of brown, like I said, maybe a bit of white to tone it down. Not the white acrylic, the white watercolor. To make it a little less bright. Let's see if that helps a bit. Let's go here. That's the nice thing about watercolor too. You just play with it till you get the colors you want in there. It's starting to improve a bit, I think. And you can also add more water to make it lighter. Just a lighter yellow. Etc. Like I said, I'm not going to do this really neatly today because of my... Just want to get it done for you to see. Outside the lines too much. Also, blotting it off can help too because it can make it a little bit less yellow as well. Then again, once again, you're going to go around the edge. You're going to hit that glass and it's going to come back. Put a couple of dots there for drops that are going in the glass, and you're done. There you go, about like that. So this one's kind of messy, very messy. I'm usually very much pickier than this. So we're going to try our number 6 brush now. No, wait, hang on, one more thing first. You can see here that there's some lines showing. I will be getting rid of those with some white later. But for now, we're going to just leave them like this. I'm still going to add more white to this. I think it's a bit too bright. Still. There you go. I'm not liking this color. You don't want your colors to come out of the glass. Be a little bit more careful than I have been here. And the great thing, another great thing about watercolors, you can always erase it a little bit just by going like that. As you can see, it's kind of disappearing slowly. Still got a bit of yellow there, but you can put some blue to fix that up. There you go. That's a bit turquoise, see? Aha. Here we go. Shade, blend that in and it looks better. Those are just some quick tips for doing watercolors. Now, because we have a blue background, we need a little bit of blue in the glasses. So we're going to do just a tiny bit, a very light bit of blue. This will be lighter than this circular part because there's 2 layers of glass for it to see through. To take a lot of water, tiny bit of blue. And we're going to do this. We'll just fill this in. It should be lighter than your background, but it should have a tinge of blue in there. Just to get some a bit more realistic effect. Same with this one, you're going to go here. There you go, just like that. Then with the next one, you're going to a tiny bit more blue because you want it to be a little bit darker up here. That's too dark, obviously. Add more water to that. It's just the tiniest bit just makes it turn into mud. I tell you, frustrating. It's going to be darker than the bottom, but lighter than the darker than this part, but lighter than the outside. That's a good effect there. Okay, if there's a bit of yellow in there too, because you know things change through glass a lot. So there you go. Okay, I'm too far away here. There we go. So there you go. Now as we put our other lines on, you'll see how it all comes together. So now we're going to do some of the shadowing effect on the champagne itself. So here's what I recommend. I recommend that you take your 6th brush now, the smaller one, a little bit smaller, wet it. Actually take the clean water because you want to wet this stuff. And then if you have it, if you're using yellow, add a little bit more brown. If you're using a champagne color, just add brown to that. Or you can, if you have another color that's actually the right one, perfect. So we're going to go all around the edge a little bit just with this brown. We don't want too much. We want to add a lot of water to it and just a little bit of paint. So we want it to be fairly close to what we've done already. And just be free with it. You're going to want to blend it all in. Go around the edges. Of course, the bottom side of the glass, whatever's on this side, will be darker than what's on the top. So I'll show you how we do that. You gotta think about your lighting in here. Just get this going. Ugh, I don't know if the cursor. I'm very crooked today. Sorry about that. Normally I wouldn't paint feeling like this, but I'm trying to rush too, which doesn't help. I'm usually slower. And then you're just going to blend that all in. You can add some water to it. See how it's a bit darker there and a bit more of the dark than there is on the other side. Then we're going to blend this one in too. So and you're going to do a bit at the top here. Just really light. You don't have to. So you almost have a circle going on. Not a circle, but you have it all surrounded on all sides. And again, we're losing some. This is wet over here. So that's what I mean by making it dry first. That way you can actually be neater about this part. But you'll see once we're all done, it won't be so bad. Then you're going to take some of that shading color and you're going to do it through here because you want to have, you want your, the shadow to follow through wherever you have champagne. Just keep blending it out till it disappears. Try to avoid lines. If you need to touch it a little bit with your paper towel or with your fingers, feel free. And get that little splashy effect over there. I'm gonna go further with this one. Just play with it till you like how it looks, and then you're good to go to the next champagne glass. Oh, I took the wrong paint. See, I get them mixed up every time. Okay, again, this side will be darker this time because it's on the bottom. So you're like this. This is where the yellow will start looking less yellow. And as you can see this? If I didn't have watercolor paper, I'd have no paper left. That's a tiny bit of paper right there that's come off because the watercolor is disintegrating a little bit. That's fine in this case, doesn't matter. It's not disintegrating too much. That's because it's watercolor paper. Then you're going to go back here and you're going to go like this time. So try to get your brown nice. Or I call it brown. It's not really brown, but it's sort of a little bit of brown in there. This will be darker in here because it's all covered up by the light. Put a nice dark line down here. And there you go. You got some nice stuff happening there. Your champagne is exploding. It's so happy it's the new year. How have you guys been this year? Hopefully good, I hope. Hopefully good, I hope. Then we're going to do a tiny bit on this side here. Not too much though. We don't want very much at all. Just one tiny little line here. Just to make it look like it's... And then we're going to go along the top here of your champagne. Just a little bit. There you go. There's your champagne. Beautiful, beautiful work. I always tell people no matter what mark you make, it's the right one. It's what the painting wants to be. It decides sometimes what it wants to be. And that's always fun too. I'm yakking away too much. Okay, so now we've got that sort of detail done. Now we're going to take our... Now we want to make these glasses stand out, right? So what I use for this is I take a little bit of blue and I have a gray. If you don't have a gray, obviously black and white makes gray, or you could just water down your black a lot. Whatever works for you is fine. And again, maybe I'll try that on this glass just so you can see the difference. So I use a darker blue and this, just a touch of blue, and the gray watered down quite a bit again. Now let me find a bare spot on my palettes here. Here's a good one. This is good. You could leave this paint and wet it later and use it again. That's the nice thing about watercolors. You don't usually clean it up too much because you want to use it in the future. That yellow in there. Okay. Take your number 6 again. Actually, I'm going to take my liner this time. And then you're going to take some clean water. Put it here. Actually, take this one, put it there. It's easier to get more water with the big brush than it is with the little brush. And then you're going to take this. And you're going to take a lot of this gray. And it's this. You don't need tons of it because it's a glass. It's see-through. Technically, it's white, but you have to show it up somehow. Take a bit of the blue and add it. So this becomes a bluey gray color. There we go. That's perfect there. And then you're going to go along all your edges with this very fine. If you can do it, the finer you can do it, the better. So that's a little bit tricky. You might want to blow dry your edges as well first, because mine are a bit wet, and you'll see what happens when it's wet. This one isn't wet, so it's going to be good. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, just approximately what you want. See how it's joining in here? You can actually blend this in a little bit just to make it look even more shadowed. If you want to make it disappear a little bit more. That's because my paint is wet and it's not going to like me, you know. It's not going to like what I'm doing to it. So, follow your line up. See, I'm losing my line. Follow this line up as well. This was a little off kilter, so we're going to add that there. And as I said, make adjustments as you go. Again, this side will be darker. There will be more dark on this side. So if it's a little thicker on this side, that's okay. You'll see that it'll look okay when we're done. This is very wet right here. I should probably blow dry it and show you how that changes it. Maybe I'll do that real quick while you're sitting there working. You go ahead and outline everything and I'll be right back to show you the rest. Alright, I'm back. so let's try this again. Alrighty. Take your liner. Take the gray. Now I'm finding this side is a bit off kilter too, so I would do this. Now as you can see, as I make this line, it stays more sharp. If I take this paint, a little bit of this paint, try to make this good. Here we go, there we go. That's what we want right there. Now it won't be quite as flimsy looking. Go right up through here. Now, because you made a splash here, hang on. I'll add a bit more here because it's acting funny. Right there we go. That splash is coming up there. Okay, so now because you've made a splash in here, when you do this, you do not want to. You want to go over with the bottom line. This line you want to go. You want it to be go over top of this. The back one you want it to hit that edge and stop. I'll show you what I mean right now. Now because that's got a bit of a, we're going to do it a bit darker there, just so we can see it properly. This is a lot darker. Okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. The glass will look different in different areas anyway. This is very easy to do actually. Surprisingly easy. Now this has to stop there, you don't want to continue. You want this a bit more to open up. It's okay on the edge if you have a bit of the thicker line because there's like a lip there that you want to show people. And we'll highlight it later and you'll see it'll look, mine's messy, but it'll still look better after we highlight it a bit. You also use the white acrylic for highlighting. Now in wine or champagne glasses, you have this piece here, then you have another piece of glass. I guess they have a thicker piece that you can kind of see. So I'm just going to take my gray and very lightly do this. Oop, that wasn't very light. See, it's always good to test. So I'm going to take some water and just water that out a bit more. And I'm going to blot it off. So it's a little less obvious what's going on there. And you can just fill this in with some gray here. I think that should be, there you go. Something like that, just so you can see this thicker piece in here. Okay. And then we're going to do some height. See this here, I'm going to blend this in. This is not what I want. I'm going to blend it in. It's fine if it fills it up. I think for the next one I'll have pre-prepared one so I can just show you and then you can do it on your own. We also want a line under here to accentuate this bottom here where it actually hits. I don't know why it's going so light. This is not that light, but it's still acting light. There we go. So there you go. Approximately it's a little off, but that's okay. So you're starting to get the feel of the glass now. Now we're going to do the same thing to this one, so outline it all. Okay, so now we're going to add some shadowy kind of things with the darker color here. We're going to add a little bit more of this in here. And this in here. You're not going to do a lot. You're just going to do some in the stem, like a little bit here. And a bit here. And a bit. And I think we'll leave this maybe. No. We want to make champagne colored ones in here because of the champagne. So you take that color, but you're going to add a whole bunch of this dark color to it. Not a whole bunch, but enough to make it more of a yellow color than a gray. A darkish yellow color. Then you're going to go shoo, shoo. That's I like to make sound effects when I do this stuff. One right here. One maybe right here. Oh, that's not a very good one. I don't like that one, but whatever, we'll just leave it. There you go. So maybe one down here. Maybe one over here. And here. And you might want to just have a nice little bit of a one there because the side isn't perfectly bright either. It's long, like that. Ugh, going off the edge there. So now that's your sort of shadows in there. This I didn't very detailed, but you can see on this one. Yeah. Oh, we're still going to add some more stuff first before I say that. Okay. So that's that. And I think we're done mostly with this. Now we're going to take our, oops, this goes in here. Actually, yeah, no, that's fine. Go there. Do this. Now we're going to take our white. And the white, if you have a lid for like a margarine container, sour cream container, something like that, that would work very well. I just put it on my paper here because you don't need that much of it. So, that's way too much, but that's okay. And I'll take our clean water over here because we don't need this anymore. Oh, I forgot to talk about the bottom here. Same thing, you do exactly the same thing on the bottom as you did on the stem. Just put some highlights at the top, and I'll show you highlights right away. And then maybe some dark stuff on the edges here where the glass joins into it. You could always just do it like this so you don't have it on there anyway. But if you do have it on, it's the same techniques basically. Just thinking about where your light's coming from. Light at the top, dark at the bottom. So now our lighter shades will be in here. To take your white, and you're just going to go shoo, do some light. You can even do it right into here. Is that light? Yeah, it's sort of coming up gray, isn't it? Must not rinse that off very well. That's better. You can even take some like water at it too, so it's a little thinner. Makes it a little bit easier to work with. They actually might be a bit gray up there just because of the way the light's going. So don't worry about that too much if it changes colors. Because watercolor will always blend together with other colors. It's just not going to cooperate with you otherwise. A little bit of a highlight there. A little bit in here you want to put in here. Just a couple here and there just to make it look like the glass is shiny. And here some. Everything's gray on here. It's weird. Bit of a highlight here. That's just been a bit blue there, but it's not, so that's okay. Highlights in here, highlights in here, a little bit of a highlight in here. There, there. If you want to put a highlight in your room, you can. Just be very gentle about it. Hello, Laura. Try to be quiet. It's my daughter. So all these, just put some in these, like where you put the shadows above that, put a highlight, etc., etc. So lots of highlighting. More highlighting than not. Okay, so there you go. So these are terribly shaped, but they're about approximately what you want to do. Here's some as well, put in this one as well. You want, this is turning gray for some reason. I'm not quite sure what's with that, or maybe it's just my eyes. Not always the best. A little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. I don't hate it, even though it's messy. It's okay. Now we're going to do, oh yeah, wait, I'm going to put one right here too. Highlights will show up even in the dark spots a little bit. So it's okay to add some everywhere, just less in the dark spots. Okay, so next I think I got to try to make this a little brighter right here. Here we go. And now we're going to do the foam. There's always foam at the top. So you see this line of pencil here? That'll be gone in about 2 seconds. I'm going to take this the biggest one for this part. And I'm going to do foam. Dry it off really good. Take your acrylic and just blot it on there. However you can do it. Make it look like foamy stuff going on. Because champagne is foamy. From the bubbles, we got to add bubbles yet too. Okay, so for bubbles, this is how I would do it, or how we will do it. So we need your dark brown for. Need your dark color of your champagne, whatever you mixed before is going to work. And I'm just going to take this. Actually, take your smallest brush with this one. Just your liner or your numbered 2 round. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to put little bubbles going up. They usually go from one line and they go straight up. So because you're on an angle, it's not going to be straight up the glass. It'll be straight up the side of your painting. You can do as much or as little as you feel like it. Maybe you left it out overnight. It's not so bubbly anymore. That's more water to this. As you get to the top, they'll spread out more, get a little bit more bunched up. I'm not doing this that neatly, but that's okay too. You can do it a little more carefully. You can also use a dotting tool if you have them. You can get them at nail stores. They sell nail polish and stuff because it's for nails as well as painting. Do little designs with them. Get tiny, tiny ones, bigger ones, just whatever you want. Just a few over here I'm going to do. A few at the top here. They're sort of fizzling out at the top because they're quite part of the bubbles. And there you go, some bubbles in that one. You would then do them in here. I'm not going to because we're running out of time. And then we're going to just put some white dots on top of that. Because actually they're usually very bright compared to the rest of it. So take this, dry it off, take your white acrylic, and then just dot, 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 dot nearby. Going on and on. You could use these pictures for an anniversary card for somebody or a birthday card, special birthday, you know, things like that. Or you can just use it for a New Year's picture if you want to put up a New Year's picture, whatever you feel like. So just put a bunch of white on there to make it look a little less dark. Just dot it here and there. It doesn't have to be all white. Okay, then you'll have some fizzy looking champagne. All right. Now, if you want to do, now I call this party around the edge with these swirly things. I have different things that you can do it with your paintbrush and your paints. So you could just take some gold paint, shake it up first, shake it up, see, it's appropriate. Add a little bit of water to it so it's not quite so thick. And then take that and go shoo, shoo, shoo. Now that's nice, it looks good, but it's not as dark as I like it to be. You can do that, that's fine. Or if you want, you can buy paint pens, which are lovely to use. I'll get them paint markers actually. And again, I have Jane Davenport ones, which are great. They're called mermaid markers. They're actually watercolor markers, so you can take it, you can do some gold here. Let's do some gold ones. Actually, I think I have a bronze one here I'm going to do. Oh, that's silver actually. Let's see if I can find a bronze one. It's my favorite. that's black, but that's okay. Just make some swirlies around the edge. I'll show you what these are. These ones that aren't, these are watercolor, which means they're water soluble. So you can then take a brush. This is so cool. I'm not very good at it yet, but it's very cool. Take it, get some water on it, and go. And then make it look like, mush it together. So then it becomes more watercolory. I also have some that are permanent marker type from Jane Davenport as well. And they will not do that. They, once you get them on, they stay the same. Etc., etc. Now if we do the splattering, hopefully you have a toothbrush that's an old toothbrush, or not an old toothbrush, but a new toothbrush, but that nobody uses. And then you're going to wet your paint really well. So you want it to be kind of loopy, you want it to be kind of watery. Hopefully you can see that. Dip your paintbrush in, or your toothbrush in a little bit. Then you know, I'm not sure if that's showing. Oh yeah, there you go. I don't know if you can see it. I'll do the gold as well so you can see that a little better. It's a little easier to see. Not like that. You want to get that excess water off of there. Too much water. Blow it off quite a bit. It's not really working either today. Might want to wear an apron for this part so you don't wreck your clothes. Anyways, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a bit of spray on there. Especially right in here, you can kind of see it. And that's how you do this. Oh, don't forget to sign your artwork. Take some paint and go. That's not working either. Having issues. I'll use one of the markers. How about that? Not that one, not that one. Where's the other one? I'll just use this one. I always like to put the date I make it as well, or the year. So there you go. And then when you take off this edge, your tape, you'll see you have a beautiful sharp light at the edge for your painting, for a border. So that's all for today. I hope you guys give this a try. I'd love to see pictures of it. If you want to give me an email, I'll put my email in the description as well. And I'd just like to say a shout out to Parkinson's Art UK, wonderful organization for artists with Parkinson's. You can go there and check them out. They have virtual gallery. They have different artists and their paintings, and it's just a lovely, lovely site that I love very much. So you go check that out, Parkinson's Art UK. You'll find it online. Thanks very much for coming today and enjoy yourselves. Let me see your pictures. Bye.